So Linda, you have another quilt like this.
I do. It's the other 6
It's
months.
the other 6 months.
Yeah, we'll have to show that.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Thanks for joining us again today. We're glad to welcome you to the best of both worlds. Today we're going to be doing borders and corners on the quilt. We're doing 2 borders, and Paula's going to show us how to do those with the Statler.
Okay, so at this point, it tells us to click the upper left outer corner. And so we've got the machine head up in the upper left outer corner of our border. And I'm going 1/4 inch in so that we stay away from where the binding is going to sit. And we're going to say, okay. And now it says to click the upper right outer corner. So we're going to the outer corner and we're going to stay 1/4 inch in to account for our binding. And now it says to click the lower right outer corner. And then we'll come back over here and we're going to click the lower left outer corner. And what this is actually doing is just building our boundary to know where exactly we're going. So now we're going to start doing the inner corner of all these. So it says to click the upper left inner corner. So we're going to go up to the upper left inner corner and click. We're going to go up to the upper right inner corner. And we're going to come right down, and I like to stay right on the stitch in the ditch on this one.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that way, it's going to fill that border up pretty well. And we're going to click the lower left inner corner border. Now, look what happened to our screen. Oh my.
I can see it. Looks like it's going in crooked, and this one goes this way, that one goes that way. What
so
happened?
Is this something that we should be worried about? It's not
I'm
how
worried.
we want it to quilt, is it? So we're going to go over, because this is a common problem. Sometimes
Okay.
when we build corners, they're not the right, trying to think what to call it. Orientation.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we're going to come over to the computer screen, and we have our setup box. So can you see the setup box right here, Linda?
Yes.
Okay.
Border corner settings.
Right here, we have our quilt length.
Aha. And what was our quilt length? I think
Oh,
it was
dear.
62.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put our quilt length in here at 62.
Is that this quilt length?
No, it's going
It's
to be
the-
from the side to side,
Okay.
or from roller to roller.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And we've got our margin set at 0. I think we've gone in and changed that, because the default is 0.25.
Okay.
Which is fine. I'm going to leave it at 0, because we can fiddle
Play
with
with
this
it.
border and figure out if we need to put a margin in there.
Okay.
And with feathers, you really do want to leave enough room. You're not going to
Yes.
play with these feathers very much, otherwise we'll get overlapping. So the orientation says it's upper left. And if I click down on this, we're going to see what it does. Our upper right is going to fix it.
Totally.
Okay?
That's awesome.
It is awesome. And I love this new border corner icon, because
It just put it all in for you.
it puts everything
with
in
the corner.
for you.
Awesome.
Okay?
Yeah, that's
It is beautiful. You know, the computer is great, and it's deleted a lot of our old steps that we used to go through to set in our border corners. But you know, sometimes the quilt isn't always as straight as the computer thinks it is.
so we should double check.
So I like to double check. So we'll make some more boundaries.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And we will build a boundary on the quilt for where it's laying. Okay?
All right.
So we still have our boundary icon, and if you just push the mode button once, you're going to see that we can select this little guy right here.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to mode once and go select. And now we can click as many times as we need to build this boundary.
In case it was not
If it's
straight.
not straight, we're going to go crooked.
Okay.
Okay? And really, we can build this boundary in one
One big
whole
thing.
big thing.
Okay.
So that way we can kind of know what our boundary is. So we're going to just go ahead and we're going to keep clicking, starting up here, and we're going to keep going around our quilt. And then we're just going to go ahead and push stop. And
Okay.
now you can see on the screen, the red boundary is the boundary we just created. Okay? And you can see that we've got to make some adjustments here, don't we?
Yes.
Because we're
goes up
farther
just a
away.
little bit in the middle.
Yes. And we can make those adjustments, but I'm looking at the corners, and that corner seems to be okay. This one's right on the corner. So really, we've got a little bit of
So what are we
going on.
going to do?
So we're going to go back to the screen, and I'm going to use the mouse, and you guys can watch on the screen what's going on. And we can see that whole border right here. And as I drag my mouse, like I'm highlighting, I can go right to left, and anything I touch, it's going to select. Okay, so I can just
Right to
drag.
left. That's
Yes.
important.
Yes, and
Okay.
anything you touch, when you drag your mouse right to left, it's going to select it.
Okay.
If I go left to right, I have to select that whole pattern. Okay? So, can you see what's not been selected?
Yes.
I don't have those top patterns selected.
Right.
Do
These.
I? So I'm going to just redo it so that I have them all selected, because with feathers, we really don't want to play with
Messing them up. Yeah.
messing them up. Although we can. We have that node mode now, and it's a fabulous mode,
I've
but
used it.
it's a lot of work.
It is. It is.
So if we can get this as close as we can, and then we can go into that mode later if we need to. Okay? So right now we're on our purple handlebars, which means they're the edge pull handlebars.
Okay.
And I am just going to, if you push your control key down on your computer keypad, I can move those patterns up just ever so slightly. Okay? Can you see how slightly I'm
Yes.
moving them up? And really, if I look along here, we're not going to play with these feathers. I'm not going to play that feather game. So really what I want to do is just maybe squeeze those up just a little tiny bit so they're within my boundary. Okay? And I'm going to come over to the side and squeeze that in a little bit. And this side is actually looking pretty good.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's ready. Is it ready?
I think it's pretty close
Let's
to being
do it.
ready.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would do is while it's quilting, we might want to just watch and
it
make
to
sure
make
that
sure
it doesn't go
into the-
outside of the boundary.
Because we are using a dark thread there, so it will show,
Yes,
and we don't
it
want it to go
will.
into the white.
You are absolutely right.
Okay.
But where's my start point? We usually like to quilt from left to right.
Yes, we do. That's the way the machine stitches the best.
And because our borders go clockwise, and we are down at the bottom of the quilt, we are going to do our little magic button.
Okay.
I love this button. So if I come over here and select this last pattern, right there, I have got my order join button now.
Okay.
This is a new button on 6.0, and I
Okay.
love it. And if I click on this, it's going to take that last pattern, and anything that's connected to it, it's going to change the sewing order.
Oh.
We
great.
used to have to use our F8 button, and
don't now.
now we don't have to.
So that changed the start and the
So
end.
it changed the start and end, and it
Okay.
is all connected because when I pushed order join, everything showed up pink. And we are ready to quilt.
Okay. I am excited.
Okay, so we're going to just come over And I could have done this while I was at the computer screen, but I'm going to just do it from my machine head. And I'm going to go over to the quilt button and say Start Quilting. So I selected Start Quilting, and we're going to pull up our bobbin thread. And we're going to say OK. And I do have to say, I love my Statler.
My favorite part is watching it.
Yes.
And the way it's digitized and the way that it stitches is probably different a lot of times than I would do it freehand.
Yes.
But this is also a time when you can go and
put in
do
a little
something else
laundry
or turn around and do your other
go get a
edge to
snack.
edge and get a snack. Yes.
I am a sugar girl. It's all good.
It's going to be so pretty.
It is going to be beautiful. I love these feathers.
And then we'll turn the quilt and fill in the other borders.
Yes, yes.
I think that, especially with feather design, that is the way to go.
Yep. Oh, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. And you can see how close we're getting to the edge.
But it's
But
not going over.
it's not going into that border, so we're just going to watch it and make sure that it doesn't go outside of the border.
And you can speed it up.
Yep.
There we go. You're a good tender, Paula.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to watch it go.
Yeah, the little pearls can be tedious by hand, but,
Yes.
but they're not as hard as you think, and you can really get pretty good looking ones. But it's fun to watch the machine do them.
Well, I love how they look. They certainly add to a quilt.
It's hard for me to do plain feathers, so most of my patterns are going to be pretty fancy.
Yes, and they are beautiful.
Thank you.
On this little stop border, we're going to use another one of your patterns. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. And we are done, so we are going to actually take the machine back, pull up our bobbin thread, and it's always really important to say OK, to confirm to the computer that we did what it said.
Okay.
All right.
So we will place another little a border on the inside border now. Another
And
one.
that's another one of yours.
Yeah, that's awesome. Boy, that just filled in from side to side so nicely.
It did. It's a beautiful pattern.
Oh, thank you. That I call that one my fickle feather. Can't decide which side it wants to be on, so it just twists and turns.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at that. Do that. There we go.
So we did this border exactly like we did the outer border.
Correct.
Just get those, you know, all the steps
You
were
build
exactly
it the way
same.
you build it.
And as soon as this is finished, we will take the quilt completely off and turn the entire quilt so that we can show how to fill those other borders in. Awesome. Okay, so Paula, you're going to show us now. We've turned the quilt.
Yes.
And that didn't take very long, did it?
No, it didn't.
People are afraid to turn the quilt. Don't be afraid to turn the quilt. So you're going to show us how to connect from here to here and get that beautiful border in there.
We are going to
Okay?
do that, Linda.
I'm going to let you show me. Go for it.
Okay. So, first of all, we're going to build a boundary to show exactly where we want that feather border to lay. So I'm going to just, because of our perfectionism, I'm just going to actually roll my needle down just a little bit so I can see exactly where that boundary is going to lay. Now, our boundary icon is our first little icon on the top toolbar, and I'm going to just select it once and then push select, go mode and select, and we're going to start clicking. And you can hear those nice little clicks in the background. And because these feathers have to lay right together, I am clicking right along that feather. So you can see where that feather is. And it's not looking too bad. Now remember, we've got to stay on the inside of our outer border. So I'm staying 1/4 inch inside of it so we have that room for our binding. And I'm going to come down here. And remember, not all borders are created equal. And I'm going to come into this feather here that we want it to lay against and click along it. And I'm going to follow that little purl and follow my feather back out. And I'm even going to go past my feather a little bit that will connect to it. And then I'm going to stay right in the ditch so I know exactly where my ditch is, so I know how far I can come in. You know, we don't get a lot of wiggle room with those feathers because we don't want them to overlap each other. So I'm going to stay right there. We just don't want this purpley colored thread to be in that beautiful white. And I'm going to come back around this feather and go around my purl. And as we go around a smaller section or a round section, we need to click closer together. So now we have our boundary on our screen and we can tell where those feathers need to lay. So now the biggest part is we need to measure from where it needs to start to where it needs to end. And we are at the bottom side of these side borders. So our start point is going to be over here because we always go clockwise. So we need to find our end point of this last feather quilted. And I'm going to go and I'm going to select my measure tool. So we're going to use the mode button. And we're going to mode over to the measuring tape. And I'm going to select the measuring tape. And I'm going to measure from this end point over to this start point. And I think it's about right there. So my measurement, my length, and I always use my length, I don't use my width because it could be at a slight angle and not be as accurate as I need it to be. So we're going to use length, and it's 33.68. So we can just get out of the measuring tape because the clipboard is going to remember our measurement. So I'm just going to go cancel. And now my pattern is selected. If you look on the side, on the screen, my border is selected. And I am going to go over to repeat patterns, which is this little white box with an orange icon. And I'm going to select it. And now I need to go to the computer to put in my measurements. Now we're back over to the computer so that we can set this border up. And we're going to start by doing our repeat pattern, which is this little white box with an orange corner in it. And I'm going to go ahead, I know what my pattern height is. So right now, because my freeze aspect is on, I'm going to go ahead and change my pattern height or width, whatever. Well, it is the width we need to change. Yes. And it's 5.27, and I know that because I wrote it down from doing the other side borders. And now I can come over here and I'm going to go to my total width, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to pick my length because that's really the most accurate one to pick. And because my machine is setting over here at the end point where I need it to be, I'm going to come up here and say pattern location and go end point. And then I'm going to come down to quilt angle and I'm going to pick my angle. So now all these things are set up correctly, and if I click OK, that pattern should set right in there. And there we go. The only thing I can see is that this pattern might not be as wide as it should be, but can we fix that? We can. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to select all of these. And I'm going to change my handlebars because I don't want to mess with the length. What I want to mess with is the width of the pattern. So I'm going to go F10 so that my start and end can stay where they are. And I'm going to just pull those feathers out ever so slightly. And this one, I think we need to push it in. So I'm going to change it back to my edge pull handlebars and take it in just ever so slightly. And we can tell, I'm wondering if I need to go to my F12. This is always a big old guessing game on these things because we never know how they're going to lay in there. And with feathers, you can see this feather is not quite right. But down here it looks really, really nice. I'm just going to go ahead and push that in just a little bit. And I think we're going to just have to play with these two feathers right here. And you can see I've got a little bit more room here. That's okay, we can square that quilt up, okay? So let's go ahead, and we have this fabulous new mode. It's called nodes. And if you push your F7 on the keyboard, it'll change, I thought. It'll change to nodes. Let's try this. There it is again. I just right-clicked. You also can access it right here on the keyboard. So let's just go right there, and you can see we've got these nodes now. And what I'm going to do is, this gets really tricky. We're going to just pull this out just maybe a little bit. And if you can see right here, I've got these pink nodes. And these blue, the pink ones are where the pattern starts and stops. These blue nodes are kind of like an elastic. Oh, there's another one. So we're going to just grab this elastic and bring it out this way. Grab this elastic and bring it out that way. Maybe we can move this pink one down a little bit. And we're going to have to play with this feather to make it look like it fits. But we can do this, because we have the best of both worlds. So we're going to go ahead and grab this pink node, and I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to straighten up that little guy right there. And because we know we have extra room out here, I know we get our little perfection hats going on, and I shouldn't be playing with that node. There's the one I want. So we're just going to play with it and get it to lay in there just like what we want it to lay. And if we click off of it, now you can see it's going to fit right inside that feather. So the only thing now that I can see is that it's starting over here and ending on this side, and we want it to change again. And we have our fabulous little order join. So we're going to go ahead and click on this end and go to our little, it reminds me of Tinker Toys. I don't know how many of you guys remember that. But I'm going to click on order join, and it's all connected. And we are going to watch as it quilts so that we make sure that it stays within our border and that everything lays right. So let's go quilt. All right,
Wow,
we're about done.
It's just coming right into there just perfect. This has been so fun, and we're going to finish the other borders on the other sides. So we'll have the borders done all the way around the quilt, and then in the next segment of this portion, we will be putting the other pieces in the inside. So don't miss, it's going to be really fun.
That's right.
Really fun. See you next time.
See you next time.
For products, patterns, and retreats, visit lindavtaylor.com.